The emergency klaxons of the Galactic Council station pierced through the void of space as Admiral Zethkar's tentacles trembled against his command console. The holographic display before him showed readings that defied everything the galaxy had believed for 3,000 years. "Impossible," whispered Counselor Vex, her crystalline form refracting the red warning lights into prismatic nightmares. "The human homeworld shows massive energy signatures. They were supposed to be in deep hibernation." Barris Chen floated in his meditation pod aboard the generation ship New Dawn, his consciousness slowly emerging from the great sleep. Around him, 10 billion humans began to stir from their 3 millennia slumber, their bodies preserved by technology that had puzzled every galactic scientist who dared study it. The young woman beside him, Melissa Rodriguez, opened her eyes first. Her neural implants flickered to life, immediately connecting to the ship's consciousness network. What she found there made her blood freeze. "Barris," she whispered, her voice carrying through their mental link. "They thought we were extinct." The truth cascaded through their shared awareness like ice water. While humanity slept, the galaxy had flourished. 1,000 species had risen to claim the stars, forming the mighty Galactic Coalition. They had built wonders beyond imagination, conquered death itself, and established an empire that spanned millions of worlds. But they had made one critical error. They had forgotten why humanity had chosen to sleep. Admiral Zethkar's aide, a nervous Velian whose scales shifted from blue to sickly yellow, approached with trembling claws. "Sir, our deep space monitors are detecting massive fleet movements from the Sol system. Ships we've never seen before. The energy readings, they're off our scales." "How many vessels?" Zethkar demanded. 12,000 confirmed, sir. "But sir, they're each the size of moons." Barris rose from his pod, his muscles remembering strength that had been enhanced far beyond natural human limits. Around him, his species awakened not as the primitive savages the galaxy remembered, but as something far more terrifying. Humans who had spent 3,000 years preparing. Melissa's fingers danced across holographic interfaces that materialized from thin air. The technology was seamless, organic, as if the boundary between human consciousness and machine had dissolved entirely. "The Galactic Coalition has spread to 90% of habitable worlds," she reported. "They've established mining operations in our protected systems. They've disturbed the Keepers. Even now, after millennia of sleep, the name sent shivers through every awakening human. Ancient artificial intelligences that humanity had discovered in the dark spaces between stars. Sleeping guardians of technologies that made galactic civilization look like children playing with sticks." "They don't know, do they?" Barris asked, though he already knew the answer. "They never learned why we left," Melissa confirmed. "They think we were running from them." The irony was perfect. The Galactic Coalition believed they had inherited the galaxy after humanity's mysterious exodus from known space. They had built their civilization on the assumption that they were the apex predators, the final evolution of intelligence in the universe. They were wrong. Humanity hadn't fled. They had gone to sleep to avoid becoming what they were about to become. Captain Jareth Cole of the Coalition flagship Pride of Worlds watched his sensors with growing dread as the human fleet approached. Each vessel was a masterpiece of engineering that seemed to bend the laws of physics. They moved without visible propulsion, their hulls absorbing sensor sweeps like black holes swallow light. "Open a channel," he commanded, his voice steady despite the terror clawing at his hearts. The response came not as a voice but as pure information, downloading directly into his consciousness. Images flooded his mind, stars being born and dying at human command, matter itself being reorganized at the molecular level, the very fabric of space-time twisted into weapons of unimaginable destruction. Then came the voice of Barris Chen, calm and infinitely patient. 3,000 years ago we discovered something in the void, entities that existed before the first star ignited, sleeping until someone was foolish enough to wake them. We chose sleep to avoid becoming their instruments of universal cleansing. Melissa's presence joined the mental link, her consciousness touching every coalition mind across 100 star systems simultaneously. "You have broken their rest. Disturbed worlds we marked as forbidden. The Keepers rise and they are hungry." Across the galaxy, ancient installations buried in dead worlds began to stir. Technology that predated organic life itself started to unfold like metallic flowers, each one capable of sterilizing solar systems. But there is hope, Barris continued. We spent 3 millennia learning to communicate with them, to understand their purpose. We can be the bridge between your species and extinction. The Coalition fleet, mighty as it was, suddenly felt fragile as crystal in a hurricane. Admiral Zethkar's voice cracked across the emergency channels. What do you want from us? Nothing, Melissa replied, and her mental smile carried the weight of suns. We want to give you something. A choice. The human fleet stopped its advance, hovering at the edge of Coalition space like patient wolves. Behind them, the Keeper's installations continued to awaken, ancient eyes opening to survey a galaxy that had grown too bold in humanity's absence. Surrender your expansion into the forbidden zones. Accept human guidance in galactic affairs. Learn to sleep when the old gods dream, Barris offered, or face what lies in the dark between stars without our protection. As if to punctuate his words, a distant star winked out of existence entirely, consumed by something that had been sleeping in its corona for billions of years. The universe had indeed had one rule: don't wake humanity. The Galactic Coalition had broken it, and now they would learn why some rules exist not to limit the weak, but to protect them from powers beyond their comprehension. In the depths of space, humanity smiled in their terrible, patient way, and began to teach the galaxy what true civilization looked like.